Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and knife lovers around the world. This is the Knife Junkie, and tonight I want to talk to you about this amazing Spyderco Manix 2XL. The Manix 2 is a big seller right now, and the 2 refers to the fact that it's the second iteration of the Manix. The first one was a super hard use lockback, and it was discontinued, reworked, and came out with the Manix 2 a couple of years ago. And this is the XL version, a larger version. And it is a very stout and just appealing knife. If you've watched any of my other videos, I'm always pretty much giving glowing reviews of everything, glowing reviews of the knives I talk about. And quite frankly, that's because my knife budget only allows me to get knives I think I'm going to like. So I do a lot of research, watch a lot of your videos and a lot of other people's videos, and do a lot of reading before I drop the cash on a knife. So almost always I get something, and I pretty much love it. And right now I'm in a Spyderco mode, and it's kind of hard to go wrong with a Spyderco. They just make amazing knives. They design amazing knives. And maybe to some they're an acquired taste. I know a lot of people think they all look the same, but I think that's taking a shallow look at their designs. Yes, they all have the spider hole, the opening hole, and they all have the Spyderco logo and use similar materials, but there are a myriad of differences between the blades. And in any case, this Manix 2XL was quite a satisfying purchase. Excuse me. For someone with a limited knife budget. So, what do I like about this knife? Well, first of all, I like that I know anything I plan on tackling with this, which is going to be very limited, this will be able to handle. I've seen a lot of videos of people thumping on these and really going to town, you know, cutting wood, chopping down trees, batoning small pieces of wood, all things that I would never do with this knife. Why would I never do that with this knife? Well, I'm not a camper. I'm not really an outdoorsman, and I just don't find myself in those situations. And if I did, hopefully, I would have a different knife, a fixed blade, something maybe even more capable. But I do like knowing that if I have to rely on this in some sort of heavy use fashion, chances are this will fit the bill. I use this knife more as a tactical knife. I keep this on me, tucked in my waistband usually, and I just like knowing it's there. It's thin and light-ish, for its size, and extremely capable. And being a knife junkie and a collie practitioner, I just like having it with me. Sort of like how people with concealed carry like to have their guns. I do not have concealed carry. This is my concealed carry. So I consider this to be a very, very capable tactical blade. Let's talk about the specs a little bit. The blade is 3 3/4 inches long. It's CPM S30V steel, a magnificent steel. This was my first CPM S30V blade. I have since gotten the Yojimbo 2 and the Paramilitary 2, the latter of which I use all the time and have found CPM S30V to be really, really capable, awesome steel. And my sharpening skills are all freehand, and I have a couple of Spyderco stones, and I can just get this this kind of steel just wicked, wicked sharp. It's nice that it shows up wicked sharp, but after you dull it, it's nice to know you can bring that edge back without Herculean labor. So CPM S30V steel, really nice. It's got very nice G10 handle scales that are, they hit the Goldilocks level where they're just grippy enough to really, you can hold on to this knife in dire circumstances. And when combined with the jimping that's all over this knife, right here you have these proud liners sticking up with some jimping. You have it right under here, in this finger choil, 4-finger choil / integral guard. And then you have jimping on both sides of the 50/50 choil here. It's nice, it's made on earth. Those are my favorite knives, the earthen blades. It's got really excellent jimping up here on this thumb ramp. And so combined with the ergonomics, you've got this this horn at the back of the knife. I need to remember what this is called. I keep calling it a horn, but whoops. It stays in your hand like nobody's business, and I could see how thumping on a sapling with this, you would have no worries about it flying out of your hand. So G10 handle scales, you've got a huge lanyard hole. I like lanyards in theory, but they always drive me nuts, so I never leave them on. But if you wanted to double up 550 cord, you could fit it through there, no problem. It's open construction. You got the pillars here, and you got this big steel backstop, which is where the blade rests when it's in the fully deployed mode. You've got skeletonized liners. I mean, they really took extra care to skeletonize the hell out of these liners. You can see the giant cutouts there. They just leave enough steel on these liners to make this knife super rigid, and then remove enough steel to make it manageably light. I mean, this is a pretty big knife for a folder. It's pretty stout. You could see how, with the materials and with the size, this could be a very heavy knife. You know, heavy enough to dissuade people from carrying it every day. But with the skeletonization, the milling out of those liners, it really lightens it. Excuse me. You've got a 2-position pocket clip, either right side or left side, tip up only, and that suits me just fine. You can take it apart with Torx screws, with a Torx screwdriver, and tighten the pivot in the same fashion. Let me wipe these fingerprints off. You've got a full flat ground blade that is just beautiful. I just think it's a beautiful leaf-shaped blade. As a matter of fact, I like the shape of this, of the Manix 2XL, a little better than the shape of the Manix 2, which I really would like to get. The Manix 2 has a different, little less belly. Some curve on the top, a little less belly on the bottom, and it is an extremely attractive blade also. However, this strikes all the right notes for me, all the right proportions. Clip is excellent, as I find most Spyderco clips, or all Spyderco clips that I'm acquainted with. It does the job beautifully. It's not too strong, and certainly not weak. It's got this captured ball bearing locking system, which is very similar to the Benchmade Axis lock. There is a very, get my shadow out of the way, there's a very stout spring in there. It's not an omega spring like on the Axis lock. It is a coil spring, and it is on a shaft that pushes a ball bearing, which is housed in this Zytel cage, into a notch on the tang. So it is extremely strong. You can see that. You can see that notch right there, and it flies forward. And on the you can just shut it one hand. This one takes a little bit of effort to shut one hand. My hands aren't very big, so I have to sort of back the horn into my palm, pull it back, and then swing it shut. But it is a really awesome locking mechanism, and I would like to get a couple more knives with this sort of locking mechanism, and the only one I know of are the other Manixes, Manixi, however you pluralize Manix. The bearings, the pivot is really super smooth. I mean, this is one smooth knife. I'm finding that the American-made Spydercos, which use locking mechanisms other than lockback are just super smooth. You know, when you have a lockback, it goes through a couple of stages, and you know, in most cases you can't just flip them out like that, but this just pops out. You can even do the goofy middle finger deployment, which I always thought was goofy watching other people do that. I thought it was kind of gratuitously different, but then after having this and the paramilitary, it's actually a great way of opening these knives because it takes no repositioning of your hands. Once it's deployed, all you have to do is close your fingers around the grip. No, you know, no repositioning. Which repositioning doesn't really bother me, but I don't know. This just seems like a more direct method of deploying and grasping a knife. So, what have I used this for? Well, just peace of mind so far. I have not done much with it. I've cut some paper. I've let's see. Have I cut anything substantial with this? No, maybe threads on my, you know, coming off my shirt collar. You know, so yeah, literally pretty much nothing. I consider this knife to be more of a weapon for me. I could see someone who's an outdoorsman loving this because you can do a lot of stuff with it, and it'll take it and keep giving. But for me, this is more of a tactical self-defense blade. As a matter of fact, I call this my pocket barang. Spyderco they used to make a knife. It has now discontinued their sort of take on the barang, which is the classic Filipino Moro bolo weapon, and Ed Shemp designed that. And I think this is more reminiscent of a bolo than his design of a barang than his design. His design is super cool. The handle's really cool, but to me, this is more like a barang, and so I consider this kind of my little pocket short sword. And just for reference, this is a barang. This is a barang that was brought back by a U.S. GI, United States. I don't know where he was from. I bought this at a flea market on 6th Avenue in New York years ago, and it is an amazing, amazing blade. And like the Manix 2XL, it's got this leaf-shaped blade. It's very heavy, it's full flat ground. It's got a beautiful handle that is meant to stay in your hand, very much like this. And you could cut a man in half with this, literally, if you were so inclined or so skilled. So this is my pocket barang, the Manix 2XL. Would I recommend this blade? Yes, I would. I think it's an excellent knife for all purposes, general purpose. If you like a large EDC, this would be great. I have a feeling that the Manix 2, the non-XL version, might be a little more practical than this. One little issue I have with this knife is that I don't really like it for pocket carry. It's a little wide, which doesn't usually bother me. You know, reaching in past the blade to get your keys can sometimes be a little problematic. But my biggest problem with this is the placement of the clip, the pocket clip. It rides a little high in the jeans. Like if you're wearing jeans with the horizontal pocket, and this sticks out vertically, that much is going to come out, which is a lot to grab onto. It's easy to pull out and all that, but I like to be a little more discreet. I mean, you have this big shiny pocket clip that screams, you know, this guy's carrying a knife. But when you see this part of the blade sticking out, as well as this part of the handle and this giant hole, it just looks like it's a big knife. You know, some of the real big cold steel knives are set up so that only a little bit peeks out, and you don't know you have a 5-inch blade tucked in there. But for some reason, this just kind of, when it sits in my pocket, just telegraphs big knife to the world. and I'm not so crazy about that. But all the time I carry a knife, a 4-inch or larger blade in my waistband over by my right hip, just in case, partly because I just love knives and I like to carry more than one on me, but also just in case I needed, a tactical blade. I have it right there, but it's out of the way. This is nice and thin for that purpose, tucks away there very nicely. Doubles as a pants holder upper if you've got loose pants, and kind of complements the belt. But more importantly, if this is tucked in my waistband, I have an opportunity to sort of, blouse my shirt over this, and you don't really see it. It's not as, and the clip is hidden by the belt pretty much, and it's a lot more discreet that way. That's my one issue with this. Now the Manix 2, the smaller, slightly smaller version of this, has a very different clip setup. The clip almost hides the entire knife. So I'm thinking I might like to get that at some point, just so that I have that option if I want front, pants carry of a Manix. I know it's geeky. It's kind of silly. It's but it's me, So Manix 2XL. Please get yourself one. It's almost a moral imperative. Pocket barang. I'm going to put this down. I'm going to bring in my barang. Little beauty shot. Little extended family portrait here. And there you have it. I'm the knife junkie, and remember, a dull knife is the most dangerous knife. Take it from me.